director of Autism Learning Center. The vision behind Autism Learning Center is to empower learners on the autism spectrum to have skill sets that will enable them to be integrated into society, be able to earn a living and live a decent life. Before we started the school, most of the learners were from a school that closed down abruptly. There were learners who had nowhere to go, so we opened the school based on a few who really needed a place to be. The school is situated in a homestead, so the premise is shared between my home and the other bit of the property is used for the school. So the school is fairly young and also small, and what we do is that we offer one-on-one classes for the few learners that have come. The learners that we have range in ages from early years, as young as 3, and the eldest that we have is 20 years of age. The younger learners, we are integrating them, and we equip them with pre-academic skills, but first we start off with therapy classes. So we start off with occupational therapy, speech therapy, but for speech therapy to be achieved, the child must attain a certain level of concentration. From there, now we have 2 lots of students. We have the lot that will be integrated into mainstream. So from the schools that they join, we hope that they have a learning support department that can continue supporting them, because they will need assistance to be able to access the curriculum, whichever curriculum the parents choose the child to join. From there, we have now the other lot that needs now more specialized care and more specialized training. Now these are the learners who do now what we call the pre-vocational training. One of cultural beliefs many times is the stigma that comes with having a child with special needs. When I had my child, when he was very young, one of the challenges I faced as a parent, because my son is also on the autism spectrum, was the way society was quick to judge why I had a child with special needs. There are those who felt that maybe there was something I did or my family, and that's why we were cursed and that's why we have this child. There are those who felt who in the family must have done something, that's why you're being punished, or is there someone in your lineage that had that kind of behavior and that's why this boy has turned that way. So with that, and I know I'm not the exceptional to the rule, that there are many other parents who have even faced harsher situations. There are marriages that have broken as a result of having a child with special needs. I must say that I'm grateful that my family has been very supportive, and both families have gone out of their way to support in any way that they can. And for that, my blow was not as much. However, society is not as embracing. I would go to a supermarket and people would look at me strangely because my son has gone and rearranged the supermarket, or my son is throwing a tantrum. So for a young family, that can be very traumatizing. So you will find that parents prefer to lock these children away because of the embarrassment and necessary attention that they will get. The aim of this school is to actually show that parents, it's not going to be easier if you lock the child. It actually gets easier if you expose the child, because the child can only learn from seeing other children. The child can only be accepted when the family keeps pushing for their rights and advocating for the rights of their child. No one can love your child more than you. No one can go out of their way more than you. You are the first advocate for your child. You will be the first doctor for your child. Many families that are struggling financially, they see it as a burden more to educate a person with special needs, because the assumption is I am investing in a child who is not going to amount to being anybody of substance. Whereas my son or daughter can grow up to be a lawyer, doctor, teacher, businessman. But that's not always true. These children that I've had for the short time that we've been open are making exceptional crafts. Beautiful things, just as beautiful as the crafts that you see in Masai Market. They actually can sit through and make something that can be sold and earn a living. The longer you take to educate the child, the harder it is for them to learn the skills. I want to tell you that it's not your fault, but your child is the way they are. Second, your child is not the only one the way they are. Meaning that in where you are living, there must be other children just like your child. So this school tries to help parents to know that you're not the only one. There are many of us, and the struggles are there, just like any child that you may have. There'll always be challenges, but you have to stand up for them. So this is the purpose of this school.
Very good. Show me time. Very good. Show me that. Very good. Well done.
As long as I can remember, I've always been teaching children, playing, when you're kids, you play games where you're a doctor, you're a nurse, mine has always been, my role was always the teacher. So I guess that has always been my calling, I would say, and I enjoy what I do. So even in school, the child that is picked on, my classmates, if they are picked on, I would stand up for them. So when now I have a child who has special needs, well, this is it. This is what I love to do. We go back to society and also the stigma that comes along. For the longest, we have had this debate of which of the children do you invest the most to educate. For the longest, it was a boy child who was seen to be the one who should be educated. And then there was a big campaign about no equal rights, and we need to have the girl child also be educated. And we have a similar situation now with children with special needs. You find in a home, there are now the regular learners, I will not say normal students, because all of us have our own challenges if you actually were to sit down and analyze each child. Each child is different, and that's fine. When you have a child who exceptionally has delayed learning, many families that are struggling financially, they see it as a burden more to educate a person with special needs, because the assumption is I am investing in a child who is not going to amount to being anybody of substance. Whereas my son or daughter can grow up to be a lawyer, doctor, teacher, businessman. But that's not always true. These children that I've had for the short time that we've been open are making exceptional crafts. Beautiful things, just as beautiful as the crafts that you see in Masai Market. They actually can sit through and make something that can be sold and earn a living. The longer you take to educate the child, the harder it is for them to learn the skills. So my advice to parents is that as young as they are, embrace the fact that if your child has special needs, take them to school and let them, first of all, have your child assessed. The government has put in place people to actually do the assessments. They are there. It's very important to have your child registered by the government, so that they are also accounted for. You know, the government gets to know how many learners who are on the autism spectrum, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and then now from there you can legislate now for support. But you cannot start asking for support from the government if you're also not doing your part as a parent. So those are some of the things that we need to also be aware of. We have the National Disability Council of Kenya. Onus is on the parent to push to get these cards. These cards help these children. They help in even getting support from the government. I can attest that I have been fortunate enough to even have some money from the government during the COVID period. So you can imagine if you're having an extra 5,000 that you didn't have, it is something. It will help you in one way or another. My plan for the future is to move the school from a home setting to an actual premise that is going to be fully a school, you know, a proper school for the learners, where we have grounds for them to, you know, outdoors play, you know, have therapy sectors, classes for the different year groups, have more staffing for them. But to realize this, we need financial support. You could call us, you can come and visit us and say, okay, this is what I want to be able to do for the learners. How can I help? And yes, and that would really make a difference to the learners. Why should a parent trust me with their children? Let me see. One, I'm a parent, just like you are. I identify one-on-one on the challenges, the frustrations, the fear, the stigma, the ups and downs, the tantrums of the children. I know what you're going through. And nothing would give me more pleasure in seeing that these children actually grow up to be people integrated into society, earning a decent living, you know, living their lives. I believe not all special needs learners on the autism spectrum will do crafts. I believe that some of them are great artists. I believe some of them are excellent mathematicians, excellent architects, excellent robotics engineers. I mean, it does not, you know, having autism does not mean you are always going to be the bottom of the class. You know, you can be the most exceptional in whatever skills you have, but to get that exceptional student, we need to start somewhere, and that's where we need to start, by bringing them to school and supporting them. A problem shared is half solved. If you are alone, a problem can be very big. But if you talk to your friends, you begin to realize, actually, you know, it's not as bad. When you start sharing, you find actually you can even laugh about some of those situations, you know, and make jokes about it. And you go home feeling, I'm not alone. I have other parents like me. And that's why we need to come together. It's very important.